Greetings, dear magical beings, spiritual sages, wizards and warlocks, workers of light, all wonderful listeners, wherever you may be. Thank you for being here again. Today, I feel it's very important that we emphasize and we admit to the seriousness of the situation in our world that's happening. There have been major calamities and significant man-made disasters. These things have plagued the world for many years, and different parts of the world have suffered more than others. We are now seeing the full scale, the full scope of what darkness can bring. And I do believe it is trying to sweep over the entire planet at this time, because I believe that we're at a turning point, that we're at a crossroads, that we're at a juncture in our time-space continuum as Earth humans, as a species, and as a planet. And I think that it's critical that we take this very seriously, those of us that feel inclined to do so, because I believe there are ways we can, as individuals and as a cohesive kind of kindred spirit tribe, actually affect the trajectory of what is to come. In my mind, we have a few things we're going to be wrestling with. We have just the energy of two very different, almost opposing forces pulling at us. That energy itself is intense, and it is appearing in people's lives in many ways. It's appearing inside the individual as emotion upheavals and mental confusion and discouragement, and all the way down to despair. This intense energy that's vying for our commitment is affecting us on individual levels. It's also affecting us on kind of the micro social unit levels, like our friendships, our family, these small units. We have had to witness family members choosing the other timeline. Let's just call it, for the sake of simplicity, let's say there's two major timelines really competing for the humans to vote for the one of them. And we are all watching and witnessing dear friends and dear family members veering off away from us, and it's extremely painful. Our decisions are very often not even our own, and this is unfortunate in this world. There have been many, many years now a background of a propaganda systems in place. And we're busy people, and we're doing things in our own lives. And while we may think we are becoming informed by listening to major mainstream media outlets, the truth that's coming out is that we have not actually been informed. We have been manipulated. We have been told what to believe. We've been told stories. And in our world that's crowded with, our energy, we can only go so many directions at once. And so it's not that hard to hand off that amount of our lives that concerns cultural and social and political events to our news feeds, because we all don't have the time to dig deep and search through alternative news to really reach closer to the truth about what's happening. So we get relying on the easiest method, which, we default very often to mainstream news. This has been going on for years and years now. And the central part of where this darkness emerges from is very well aware of this, and they are in complete control of our major media news outlets. So at least for us in the Western world, we have considered ourselves informed, and we're waking up to the fact that not so much. We're only informed to the level of the stories or the level of the truth that the maybe those in that do have control want us to hear and want us to believe. So this is disheartening and this is discouraging, and many people are waking up to this fact. And yet we're dealing with a large, significant number of people who aren't aware of this fact. They are existing as usual in very busy lives, and they've also been trained and entrained to keep following the source that they trust. So we're kind of seeing this war of information going on. Truth, I think a symptom of these two timelines emerging and needing to be chosen by us as individuals and as a race, I think a symptom of this critical juncture is that truth wants to come to the surface more than ever. Truth itself has an energy. Everything has an energy. Everything is magical and spiritual in nature. Everything. And this truth wants to come up and out and be seen. It's in its nature. And so as this squeeze point continues, as we head into an area where one or another choice has to be made, the push for truth to be seen is getting stronger. And as that gets stronger, that equal and opposite reaction of the push to cover it up, the push for the lie or the deception also rises. They just keep coming up. Imagine them coming out of the ground as two great big shadowy golem at each other or something. They both just keep exponentially rising and kind of fighting for recognition. And the energy that coalesces around each one of these, truth versus deception, gains momentum as these things rise. And so we see more and more significant dissension occurring between people. And even in our own lives, in our own minds, the question of what to believe, who to believe, what to trust is really haunting all of us and increasing in energy and pushing us from the inside out and the outside in. So it's a very important time. And we are all, those of us that are awake and are aware of the significance of this time and what it will mean to us, I think we're trying to follow voices that are at least trying to dig down deeper, at least trying to search out the truth. And many of us have become just obsessed with myself have watched hours and hours of videos if I can find them and podcasts to try to gain some insider information, so to speak, or just get some viewpoints on what's going on that maybe gives me hope or at least information. So many of us are immersed in this at this time. Now, for a long time, I didn't know where to go because that was the most intriguing storyline for me. And I just kept digging and I kept watching and I kept input coming in. And it did occur to me at some point, we have to look at what this will mean and does mean to us as magical beings, as light workers, as magicians, as people who wield invisible energies, as people who cross into multi-dimensions quite often, as people who have lucid dreams, as people who effectively utilize principles such as the law of attraction. We need to step back. We absolutely need to recognize what's happening, but we need to take a step back and say, what can we do about this? Can we do something about this? Can we have an effect? Not only what do we do to help our own lives stay stable and thriving and productive, but is there something we can do as individuals and maybe even later as a collective? Is there something we can do that could help? Or if I don't want to assign value to it, maybe even could bring truth more and more to light, because I think that there's value in truth inherently. I don't think that's arguable. It has effects, truth being revealed will have effects, that's for sure. And we're seeing division because truth is being revealed, but we have to be brave and courageous and strong, and we have to go through that division, because otherwise we just keep hiding the truth based on fears of what truth will do when it's revealed. I think we can at least agree on the idea that truth should be revealed, even though it could come with hard times and challenges all of its own. Is there something we, as magical workers, can do to help this process? I believe so. I think there's many things we can do. I think it goes back to, where do you see yourself? What's your style of magic? Where are you drawn? How are you drawn to do magical work? What do you find yourself praying for most often? Sometimes for yourself, but in terms of others, in terms of the world. We need to take a look at this, because some people are really pulled towards healing mechanisms very strongly. They're just drawn to healing and helping and soothing and calming. Other people are drawn towards warrior activities. They are ready to smite and to crush and to weed out the negative, to revamp the systems. Some people are called to be builders and makers, almost more like architects, where they analyze the system they're viewing and they say, hey, I could improve it over here, and I could make things run more smoothly. Maybe some of the engineers. So there's different, some are leaders, some are kind of natural born commanders. And their magic extends into management fields and team leading. They're able to convey their ideas to people and to motivate and inspire people. So these sound like ordinary things, but they're really loaded with our magical powers. And if we can get a handle on what we usually default to and what our natural instincts are with regards to using our magic, I think it's going to give us a big clue as to maybe what we could do as individuals. How can we help bring truth into the light? And how can we help support humankind as that truth comes to light, and as the challenges that come up regarding that movement? How can we help? Is there something we can do to help? Absolutely. Because remember, as that truth rises, so does the deception on the other side. These are equal and opposite forces vying for our attention right now, for sure. Okay, we're at such a critical timeline, and choice of timeline points. And I don't think anything's an accident. I think each one of you listening, I think me, my family, my friends, I think those who have found our project, as men and others doing very similar things around the world, we're all here at this time for a reason. We came probably with full knowledge as souls into what we would be coming into. And so this is not an accident. In fact, I believe that many are here that carry hybrid bloodlines of ancient species, and maybe even more advanced species than just the earth human. They are here. They have injected themselves and brought their souls forward into earth human bodies to help at this time as well. So a lot is going on, and the people who are drawn to messages about magic, about spirit, about what we can do, about how to improve these things in our own lives, I think these people, like you, my dear listener, I think we have a special level of engagement that we have access to. And I'd like us to find that. Because I'd like to personally find a way to feel that I'm an active part. I'm playing an active role in what's happening, rather than a sideline observer. And just get discouraged one day and hopeful the next day and downtrodden the next. And yeah, we're all going through this kind of yo-yo roller coaster ride right now. I'd like to have a little more control than that, personally. And I think it comes through service. I think it comes through finding a way that my magical practice not only strengthens me, but somehow stretches beyond me in my personal sphere. And I can start getting a feedback loop going. I can start feeling my power extending. I might be able to start even getting validation that's working. So what is that going to be? What is that going to be for each of us? Again, it goes back to your own personal tendencies and your own draws. What do you like to work on? How do you like to work? But the point of this podcast today, I think, is that we need to start. We've got to start. It's not easily done because we might be really hooked into the observer role and the sideline role, and we might kind of be at a point where we're just going, oh my goodness, what is going on? And in other words, our energy to do something active may be getting siphoned off into a passive role. This isn't accidental either. I've mentioned before that we do a group channeling session, and those that speak to us refer to themselves as the guardians, and they are in charge of helping create and sustain the most beneficial timeline for humans, for Earth humans. And they have spoken to us about ways that darkness can intervene or attack us, quote, attack, in some ways that we may not always be aware of. Obviously, if you're getting, bombed from above, it's an obvious attack. Or, you're encircled by people with a lot of dissension or hatreds toward you, or coming at you with verbal assaults or whatever. That's an attack, and it's easily recognizable. It's not so easy to recognize diversion and dilution of messages and confusion and that little thing that worms itself into your thought process that's the beginning of a bigger lie to come, but it gets a little nesting spot in your thinking, and pretty soon that grows and grows, and all of a sudden you've become invaded. So there's many ways that they've talked about we need to be on guard for attack. And I think this diversion and putting us off a playing field on to the sidelines by draining our energy, by making us feel hopeless, by making us feel small, that we're not, we don't really have that any power anyway. Let's just sit back and watch what those that have power will do. These kinds of tactics we're all facing right now. This is part of the battle. This is part of the war going on. We know we're in the middle of information wars. We know we're in the middle of a truth versus deception war. We know we're in the middle of light versus dark. I mean, those things are pretty eternal. They just keep going on and on and on. So some of it has been here forever, but we're reaching some new heights. We're kind of in the middle of a real battle. It ebbs and flows. These resistance and these forces coming up against each other are bigger and badder at sometimes, and then they kind of calm back down for a while. And we're in the middle of a big one. People are feeling it all the way around the world. People are hoping for things all around the world. We've been reading things like, hey, we're picking up some speed. The forces of light are gaining. We're gaining. We're saving some kids. We're saving some people from slavery. We're doing it. These kinds of hope, these kinds of messages have spread around the world and been affecting people and been accumulating energy. It's wonderful. This is the good news. We have momentum. And thanks to technology, which can be used in a most fabulous way or can be abused in terrible ways, but the technology is also enabling us to share our messages around the world and reach individuals in all kinds of circumstances that this hasn't always been the case. throughout most of our history, we were all subject to a very small funnel that those in control controlled. Those who had the power and had it firm in their grasp got to control that funnel of information. But we have a kind of a grassroots individual access through cell phones and messaging and postings, and we have been on social media. That's starting to close in on us, but there's options. Options are out there. This is wonderful, and this is a new phenomena that we get to use at this time. This is given to us at this time for sharing. So again, I just keep getting off track. I get talking. But the real purpose of this podcast is to infuse us, each one of us, is to nudge us into activity now, is to pull us away a little bit from the sidelines. Let's claim some of our power back. Let's start doing something. In the next podcast coming, we can talk more about what can we do, specifics again. But for the time being, I think it's important for each of us as an individual to step back and take a look and say, hey, how have I been sidelined? Maybe I have been, didn't even know it. Am I discouraged? Am I depressed? Am I thinking there's no hope? Or am I placing a lot of hope in something and then I'm placing so much hope somewhere that I'm not doing my own work right now? We can find our little weaknesses ourselves. And I think that's the starting point, is just saying, I want to become an active player in this conflict, or at this time. And let's see what we each come up with we'll move on from there when we talk again. I'm sending so much love to each of you, support, and I can feel those of you that are starting to listen to the podcast. I just can feel you around me. It's amazing. And I see us all as beacons of light. I see us connected by networks of like fiber optics that are little light, etheric networks. That's why it's important to bring good energy into our space and into our network. It's important to maintain that, and each one of us has the responsibility of maintaining our own little node, our own little bright spot. We can do this. But it is critical, and it's urgent, and it's extremely important. So please join me in taking the next few days to really think about your own life and where we as individuals can contribute. And again, it does start with maybe strengthening ourselves. I realize that. But let's see if we can figure out ways to not only strengthen ourselves and reach out from there. That'd be great. We can do this. Much love to all of you. I'll close for now. Bye now.